Hello, I'm Sarah and welcome back to my channel, Black Cats Pilates. Thanks for joining me today for part 3 of the beginner progression series. Now, if you haven't done part 1 and 2, highly recommend you do that, and I'll leave a link in the description below to part 1. So each routine is based on the same exercises, but we're just adding little progressions on. So making things a bit more challenging, a little bit more interesting as we go. So today we're going to be spending about 20 minutes-ish. No equipment needed, just your lovely self and a safe space to work in. We're going to start standing, so I'll see you in just a moment. All right, part 3. Let's start standing, just like we did in parts 1 and 2. If you just go to the end of your mat, and we're going to find a neutral posture before we start and also engage our core. So we'll stand with the feet about hip width apart. Keep your knees soft, shoulders back and down. Relax your arms, palms facing in, chin level with the floor, and the top of the head facing the ceiling. Okay, let's take a deep breath in through the nose. When we exhale through the mouth, you're drawing your navel in, and the pelvic floor muscles, you're giving them a squeeze and drawing them up toward the ribs or in that direction. So a bit like doing up a zip. And now you've got full core activation. We've got a nice neutral posture. We can start to warm up. So in parts 1 and 2, we began with thoracic twists. Part 1 was lazy twists. We just gently turn the ribs from side to side and allow the arms to hang nice and heavy, just swinging. Now we refined it a little bit more in part 2. This time we kept the pelvis nice and still, so the hips facing dead ahead throughout the twisting. We also had the hands in prayer with the thumbs against the breastbone, shoulders back and down, chin level with the floor. So here we keep the nose in line with the fingertips. Make sure you keep your thumbs against your chest, and we turn slowly from side to side with a little pause at the center. So it was exhale to turn, inhale face forward, but keeping your pelvis nice and still. Okay, now we're gonna just progress it, of course, right here for part 3. So you can keep your hands where they are, keep the shoulders back and down, but this time we're going to try and do it on one leg. So I'm going to start with my right foot, just placing it on top of the left. Let's keep the knees, or keep the standing knee nice and soft. Find your balance, keep the navel drawn in. This is quite challenging, okay? So if you need to put your foot down, you absolutely can, but we're gently going to turn from side to side, okay? If you don't like it, just go back to the original exercise, okay, with your feet down. But this is the progression, a little bit of balance, tiny movements when you're turning. And remember, it's exhale, turn, inhale to face forward. It is quite a challenging exercise. You might find one leg is easier to balance on the other, but we'll leave that one there for now. Okay, so now if you can stand with your feet about hip width apart again, find that neutral posture. Okay, and again, engage your core. Do it on an out breath. So take a breath in first. And then exhale, navel in, pelvic floor muscles up. Good. All right, now we're going to roll down a couple of times just to get a bit of flexion of the spine. So we've done this a couple of times before, arms nice and relaxed. We're just softening the knees and bending them slightly. So part 1 was to basically roll down with the arms nice and heavy. We nod the chin, we roll the shoulders forward, and we try to take the fingertips or maybe even the palms of the hands toward the floor. And then we roll up nice and carefully back to our start position. In part 2, we did it with our arms raised. So we rounded the spine, scooping the navel in, down we come. Same sort of exercise, same sort of movement. And then very gently, we roll back up, restacking the spine. Okay, part 3, we're going to keep the legs nice and lengthened, knees soft though, okay, so you're not locking them out. We'll keep our arms raised, we draw the navel in. Let's take a deep breath and then exhale, arms down, nodding the chin, rounding the shoulders forward and unpeeling the spine nice and slowly, making your way toward the floor. Now you can soften and bend the knees a bit more here if you still need to do that, but if you can lengthen out the legs a little more, you'll get a really good stretch down the back of them. Okay, now we're just going to come down onto the floor into all fours neutral. So hands under shoulders, knees under hips, shoulders back and down, and we're finding our lengthened spine, our neutral posture. So make sure you're looking at the floor below, just between your hands, and we're keeping our elbows soft. So try not to lock them out. Okay, we're just going to go for a cat and cow, a little bit more flexion and extension of the spine just to make sure we're lovely and warmed up. So let's take that deep breath in. And then on the exhale, we're tucking the tailbone under, drawing the navel in, pressing the floor away and nodding the chin to the chest. Now we inhale to lift the tailbone, allow the ribs to gently sink down and we gaze up. Okay, so there's our cat and cow, flex and extend. But we're going to come back to neutral, okay, because that was part one. And then with part two, we sort of ignored the upper body in the head and paid more attention to the pelvis. So still tucking the tailbone under to begin with, but then we take the hips to the left, so toward the screen, and lift the tailbone as you make your way over to the right. We tuck the tailbone back under again, coming back to the start position, and then you go the other way. So over to the right, round and back up, over to the left, round and back in. So that was part two, where you're basically making circles with your tailbone. Now you can do a bit of a progression here as well by adding head movements. Okay, so involving the head and the neck. And all I'm doing here is just following the same direction as my tailbone with the crown of my head. Okay, so you're just getting that little bit of extra movement around the spine. So you can still see here that you're getting your cow as you dip your tummy button and lift the tailbone, and you've got your cat as you tuck in the tailbone under and nodding the chin. Okay, so a little bit of extra movement for the spine. Now we're going to sit back onto the heels into shell, reach the arms forward. It's quite nice to turn the palms up as well because that gives you an extra stretch around the shoulders. But do make sure you're sitting back on your heels before you reach your arms out in front of you so you can stretch out your lower back. You can relax your head down for a second as well. Now let's come back up into all fours. So somewhere around the middle of your mat still, all fours neutral, hands under shoulders and knees under hips again. Shoulders back and down, and let's find our long line, our neutral posture. So still looking at the floor below, between the hands. So in part one, we did Superman, where we slide one arm forward and the opposite leg back, keeping the fingers and toes in contact with the mat and the back absolutely still. And in part two, we did the same thing, but the progression was to raise the arm and leg. Tap down and return. So same thing, slide, but lift, tap down and lower. Now part three, we're going to add another movement, of course, just to progress this one. So if we start back in neutral, so same thing again, we'll slide the arm and leg away, raise them up, but this time you're going to bend the elbow and the knee, flex the spine by drawing the navel in and bring the elbow and knee together. Then stretch back out, tap the fingers and toes down, and then return the hand and knee. So same again, but opposite arm and leg this time. So slide away, lift, elbow to knee, flexing the spine, extend the arm and leg, tap down and return. So let's keep it going. So it's exhale, 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 and down. So take a little sip of air in between each of those exhales. So when you do an exercise like this that's got quite a lot of movement to it, a lot of steps, try and exhale on every step of the movement so you maintain control, you're not rushing through, you can really focus on what you're doing. But do make sure that when you flex your spine, so when you're bringing the elbow toward the knee, you draw your navel in. That's why you need to exhale there. So it sort of tightens the abdominals, a little bit of extra core work, coordination, balance, and control. So we're going to leave that one there for now. Let's sit back in shell. Reach the arms forward again. If you want to turn your palms up, you can. Just relax your head down. Just breathe normally, breathe deeply. And then we're going to come down onto our front, so into prone. So whenever you're ready, down onto your tummies. And then just widen out your feet, take them to the corners of your mat, interlace the fingers, and then forearms on the floor. So what we're going to do is do part one first. This was chest lift. So we're going to take the forehead, just place it on the back of the hands or back of the fingers. That's where your head will stay as you do this exercise. You're going to keep your feet apart and we're going to draw the navel up. So that's your core engaged already. Now, if you remember part 1 chest lift was just this exercise, very gently lifting the chest and lower back down. So exhale, lift, exhale, lower. Again, another sip of air in between. We added to this in part 2, bringing the legs in. So as you lift your chest, you raise one leg up, lower it down, and then the opposite leg. So still doing your chest lift, nice and slow and steady, but raise alternate legs every time you raise your chest. Just trying to make sure that you keep your navel drawn up so you're not pulling your lower back, but just working the posterior chain of the body. Now we're going to obviously progress this one now. So come back down, keep your feet where they are, so toward the corners of the mat. But now I want you to just go into a chest lift. Before you do, obviously keep the navel drawn up, but lift your chest and hold your head and shoulders just as they are, but place your arms down. So forearms down, make sure they're parallel with the edges of your mat and the palms are facing down, fingers are facing up, shoulders back and down. Now try and keep your head and shoulders absolutely still as you raise your forearms up and gently down. So you're squeezing very gently the muscles between the shoulder blades. Squeeze the shoulder blades towards each other. Keep your forearms parallel to the ground. Now you can also, as you do this, if you want to progress it even more, bring the legs in. So as you raise your forearms, squeeze your glutes, squeeze your buttocks, point the toes, and the legs will raise very gently off the floor. Okay, this is quite challenging. So just either do the legs or the arms. It's entirely up to you. You can just keep your forearms down and maybe do the legs, or legs down and do the forearms. Okay, last one. We're going to relax that. Now place your hands under your shoulders. We're very slowly going to make our way up into all fours. And then you can sit back very gently and slowly toward the heels so we can stretch out the lower back muscles and glutes again. And then of course, reach your arms out in front. Turn the palms up if you like. It's just that additional stretch around the shoulders, and relax your head down. Take some nice deep breaths. Now just walk your hands to your knees. Come up into kneeling, and then if you just want to turn so that you can sit down, come to seated toward the end of your mat, pop your feet on the floor and make sure you've got your knees and feet about sort of hip width apart. So remember, this is a crook position for the legs. So onto the sit bones, take hold of the back of the knees, relax your shoulders and lift your breastbone up. That helps you to really lengthen through your spine and find neutral. Chin level with the floor. We're going to roll back, so make sure you've got that space behind you. So let's take a breath in. On the exhale, draw your tummy button in. Just come off your sit bones slowly and lower the ribs. Lean back with the shoulders, let go of the legs and go all the way back into a full body stretch. So reach your arms overhead. You can flex your ankles as well. That's a really nice stretch for the calves. And now if you place your arms down by your sides, palms down, place your feet on the floor. So we've got the legs back into crook. Now we're going to go up into the shoulder bridge. So make sure the back of your upper arms are gently touching the floor so that you've got good scapular anchorage. It's going to help you to balance and stay in the center of your mat as you go up and down from the bridge. So just standard bridge first. Let's take a deep breath. When we exhale through the mouth, we're going to draw the navel in, tuck the tailbone under and lift the hips and roll up slowly toward the shoulders. Breathe in to come down with a gentle forward pelvic tilt. So exhale, roll up slowly through each vertebra, that sequential control of the spine, and we come down the same way. Now the next time we go into our bridge, let's just hold it there and have a look at what we did in part 1. Okay, so back of the pelvis, square with the mat. We're using our arms to help us balance, but we brought one leg into tabletop and then rolled down and then replaced the foot. So we went into the bridge with both feet down and then it was opposite leg into tabletop. We rolled down from there with the leg in the same position and then replaced the foot. In part 2, same again, we rolled up, but this time we had the leg vertical. Okay, and then when you roll down, the leg stays absolutely still and in that vertical position on the roll down. So you got an extra stretch down the back of the leg, or you got a stretch down the back of the leg. Now we're going to try and progress it from here and do the full Pilates shoulder bridge. Okay, so the next time we go up into our bridge, let's hold it there. Now you're still going to raise the leg up vertically, but this time we're going to flex the ankle and we lower the leg to about 45 degrees. Now point the toes again, raise the leg back up. Now we roll down. So there's an extra step there. Okay, so pop your foot back down. We'll go again. Raise up into the bridge gently. Opposite leg. Just raise it up. It doesn't matter which leg you started with. But we flex the ankle to come down. Point the toes to go up. Slowly down. Good. So breathing pattern. Okay, so I'm just taking little out breaths on every step of the movement, a little sip of air in between. Good. We'll do this a couple more times. Okay, so we'll go one more on each side, on each leg. Nice and precise, and keeping the toes pointed on the way down. Fabulous. Now when we get down from here, you can give your knees a squeeze. Just circle them in opposite directions and massage the lower back. Big, deep, normal breaths in. Keep the oxygen flowing. And then you can pop your feet down again. Knees and feet hip width apart. Feet in full contact with the floor. Just relax your shoulders and your hips. Now we're going to turn our attention to abdominals, just like we did last week. We're going to do some curls. So keep the feet down, but we're going to raise our arms by our sides and turn the palms in so they're facing the hips. Extend your extend your fingers so fingertips are facing the wall in front. Keep the shoulders back and down. Before we start, let's engage the core. So taking a deep breath through the nose. And then exhale, navel in again. And scoop the pelvic floor muscles towards the rib cage. Okay, so zipping them up again. Now on your next exhale, we're going to lift the head and shoulders slowly and reach forward. So trying to get your fingertips toward the wall in front and then relax your head back down. So exhale, inhale. Keeping the core engaged throughout, but every time we're lifting the head and shoulders, we've got less air in the body, so you can really scoop the navel in and keep resetting the core. Do keep a gap between the chin and the chest. Okay, part 2, we were doing this, but we brought in one knee, place the foot down, and then the other. So pointing the toes. Every time we come into the curl, we bring one knee towards us. You can relax the knee joint. Remember, you don't need to kind of have the knee at 90 degrees. The movement is coming from the hip. Now we're going to progress this again. So let's just relax it for a second. Relax your shoulders, relax your hips. Start with your feet down, but this time we're going to reach our arms overhead. Try not to flare the ribs when you do this. Just keep them nice and relaxed. Keep your navel drawn in, and then we're going to go again. But this time, we're going to do the same exercise. It's still going to be curls, but you're going to bring your arms up and then lift the head and shoulders and reach forward. So palms facing each other. And then we're coming back down nice and slowly on that inhale. So, and breathe. So same as what you were doing before, but just keeping the arms extended and reaching overhead on the roll back. Now next progression, because we're at part 3, is to raise one leg and then pop the foot down on the return. So you're alternating legs every time you come up. Try and keep the back of your pelvis pressed gently down as you raise your leg up, and you will feel the stretch along the back of the leg much better than you will if you allow the tailbone to tuck under. Okay, so just a couple more. And then last one. And then down we come. And we'll have a full body stretch again. So lengthen out the arms overhead and the legs. And again, flex your ankles. Now we're going to have a go at that roll up to seated. Before you do, let's draw the navel in, and you're going to try also just to press your lower back gently toward the floor. So this tightens up your abdominals. Try and hold that there. So roll up is a breath in to reach up. Exhale, lift the head and shoulders, reach forward, then up, nice and tall, and give your shoulders a gentle roll. Okay, so we're going to do some side lying next. You can do whichever side you like first. Just make sure you're facing this way I'm going to come onto my left. So if you're mirroring me, it'll be your right hand side. We'll come down nice and flat, lengthen out the bottom arm, and you're going to rest your head on your upper arm here. Let's have the knees and feet together. You're going to bring them forward and try and get your toes in line with the tailbone. This top hand is going to be on the floor, just in front of your chest, with the fingers facing toward the top of the mat. You also need to make sure the body is facing forward and that the hips are stacked, okay? So we take this top hip, send it toward the bottom of the mat or in that direction. So you've got the top hip above the bottom one, and we're drawing the navel in here to hold that all in place. So part one, we did the clam. This is where we raise the top knee up, then we bring it back down again, keeping the feet together, okay? So either tip toes, or you can keep the toes and the heels together. I find it a bit better if I keep my toes together but let the heels part here. And then the idea is that you're keeping your pelvis completely still. So hips stacked, and every time you raise the knee, you're not allowing the hips to wobble backwards. Okay, part two, we did the same thing, but if you remember, the feet were elevated. So still doing the clam, but with the feet kind of suspended and nice and still like this. You just get that a little bit deeper into the hip. So it's a bit more challenging. You really got to use your core to help you to maintain that pelvic stability. Of course, it's part three. So let's just relax it all down. Okay, so we'll start again. Same position, nice and neutral. Engaged core, top hand on the floor. And all we're going to do now is the clam, but then we're going to kick. Okay, bring the toes together and the knee down. So it's a knee lift, extend the leg. So the leg will go diagonally forward. You're going to bring the toes back together and then the knee. So it's knee, toe, toe, and knee. Exhale, 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 and down. Okay, try and keep that going. Now, if you want to, and you want an extra progression, you can do this, but with the feet suspended again. So bringing the knee down, we lift the feet, and we go again from here. So it's even more challenging. So pick which one you want to do. We're just going to do a couple more here before we change sides. But remember, it's all about pelvic stability and just keeping everything nice and still and in neutral. All right, we're going to relax it all here. Feet down, and let's push into the floor to come to seated. So you're still facing forward, but we're just going to take the feet to the other end of the mat. So you're still facing your screen, but just swapping ends with your feet. Let's just come back down then, flat onto the opposite side. So if you're mirroring me, my right, your left, top hand on the floor, and just have the legs together, knees and feet are touching. You've got your knees forward and the toes are in line with your tailbone. I know it's quite hard to tell, but you can just guess there. But do try and keep your spine nice and straight. We're stacking the hips, drawing the navel in. Okay, so we're going to start with the normal clam from part one. Remember, just lifting and lowering the knee. So you can either keep the feet together or you can have the heels lifted, just the toes together. Hopefully that makes sense. Okay, and then just keeping the pelvis nice and still. We exhale on the lift and inhale to lower. Okay, part two, progression, feet lifted, lift, lower, lift, and lower. So a little bit more intense. You can really feel that around the hips and toward the glutes. That's where you're going to feel that one. And then we'll come down from here to do our part three where we add the kick. So it's clam kick. So pelvis stacked, draw your navel in, and then we lift the knee, extend the leg. Toes together, knee down. Shoo, 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 and breathe. Nice and steady breath-led movement. Okay, and remember, if you want a little bit more from this, if you want that extra progression, we do it with the feet suspended or just elevated, just like you did in part two, but we're just adding that extra kick. And when I say kick, it's not really a kick. It's more of just a knee extension, just extending the whole leg. Perfect. Shoo, shoo, shoo. We'll just do a couple more and then we'll come down. Well done. Okay, let's come up into that seated position. Give your shoulders a gentle roll and then we'll come to the middle of the mat into kneeling, just to finish with a nice couple of cleansing breaths. Okay, so relax your shoulders and relax your arms. Let's keep the navel drawn in as well. Now take a deep breath to reach your arms up And then exhale, bring them down. And again, big deep breath. And down. Last one. You have completed part 3 and I really hope you enjoyed it. Well done. So well done. That's part 3 complete and I hope you've enjoyed it. Let me know if you've done the full series. Have you done parts 1 and 2 as well? And did you check out my video on the ABC, the alignment, breathing and core? Remember, you can do these videos as many times as you like. Get confident and used to the movements. I'll be putting out more videos on a weekly basis, so I hope you can join me again. Thanks for moving with me today. Have a lovely day and I'll see you again in the next one. Bye.